Sheer Force, a great ability in Pokemon, both in-game and competitively. But did you know that it is perhaps the most intricate ability that exists? And this goes way beyond any basic interactions people are familiar with, like when paired with Life Orb. Today we're going to cover the crazy effects of the Sheer Force ability, and I bet a few of them deeper on the iceberg will really shock you. So what does Sheer Force do in the first place, you may ask if you are newer to Pokemon? Basically, the important thing to know is that moves that have additional effects, like a chance to burn on Fire Punch, or a chance to lower defense like Crunch, will receive around a 30% boost in power. The trade-off for this pretty sizable power boost is losing any of those potential secondary effects. So your Fire Punch will never burn, and your Crunch will never lower defense. But not every move with extra effects is included. Moves with high critical hit ratios won't receive the boost. Same goes for moves unable to miss, charging moves, moves that cause recoil or self-inflicted stat drops, and moves having variable power. These are considered as primary effects instead of secondary effects and can't be negated. They are pretty much negative, besides high crit ratio moves, and it would be pretty busted if you could get rid of their effects with this ability. But as long as a move has an additional effect counted by Sheer Force, it will be powered up, even if it has an effect that isn't boosted. For example, Sky Attack is a charging move that has a 30% chance to flinch and an increased critical hit ratio. The charging and crit chance will remain, but the flinch chance will be removed in order to power up the move. Same goes to a move like Flare Blitz or Volt Tackle. They both cause recoil and have a chance to inflict a status. The recoil will remain, but the status chance will be removed and the move powered up. Now here's where it starts to get interesting. There are certain signature moves that have their unique effects nullified, even though none of their users can naturally have Sheer Force. These include the moves Ceaseless Edge and Stone Axe, which normally set up hazards, Eerie Spell, which reduces foes' PP, Sparkling Aria, which will cure a target's burn, Anchor Shot and Spirit Shackle, which normally trap the target. Relic Song is an interesting one as well, as even though it has a 10% sleep chance that is nullified, the form changing effect is also nullified for some reason, so a Sheer Force boosted Relic Song for Meloetta will actually have it stay in its base Aria form. But perhaps the coolest interaction with moves is that Sheer Force even works with Z moves. Mew's signature Z move, Genesis Supernova, does damage and sets up Psychic Terrain. When Sheer Force is skill swapped or placed onto Mew somehow, the move will get a 30% boost, but no terrain will be set. This applies to a couple other Z moves with additional effects. Komodo's Klingerous Soul Blaze normally will give an Omni boost to all stats, but Sheer Force negates this in favor of the 30% boost. Same goes for Alolan Raichu's Stoked Spark Surfer, which normally has a 100% chance to paralyze, but when boosted by Sheer Force, it will never para the target. Unfortunately, Sheer Force doesn't have any interactions with max moves, as they won't ever be powered up and their effects will follow as normal, so nothing epic to show you on that front. But if you want to see another epic interaction, then you have to start messing with held items. Yeah, Sheer Force interacts with those too, and not just Life Orb. But for those who don't know, any move that is boosted by Sheer Force will not receive the recoil from a held Life Orb, but it will still receive the boost Life Orb grants. This is because Sheer Force will stop the secondary effect of Life Orb, its primary effect being the damage boost, and secondary effect being the recoil. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, it makes sense to me that way. But this makes it a premier item choice on Sheer Force users like Landorus, Lanitos, Feraligatr, Darmanitan, and more. This pretty much just grants move flexibility for Sheer Force mons who don't want to be locked into a Choice Scarf, as a boost from Choice Band or Specs usually isn't as useful as the flexibility of these mons, firing off crazy strong attacks. But did you know that there are items that just won't activate when interacting with a Sheer Force boosted move? A Shell Bell will not restore HP to a mon when using a move boosted by Sheer Force, but they will still be healed if they are using a move that doesn't get boosted. It won't activate Eject Button or Red Card if interacting with a Sheer Force boosted move, but if hit by a non-boosted move, they will activate.
Bye-bye.
Same goes for the Key and Moringa Berries. These boost defense and special defense respectively when hit by a physical or special attack. I don't know why it works this way exactly, as those items only have one effect, which would be a primary one. But I'm guessing since the ability prevents immediate effects that happen mid-turn from proccing, it prevents these items from working, since they would happen mid-turn and directly react to getting hit by an attack. That's the reason other items like Citrus Berry wouldn't be affected by sheer force, since it could activate anytime, like when coming in on hazards. Those other items only will work if hit by an attack. So then I thought, there are some other items we could test out that activate when hit by an attack. We have the Cell Battery, Luminous Moss, and Absorb Bulb, everybody's favorite items. These all proc mid-turn after getting hit by an attack, right? So I tested them to see if their effects would be negated, and yeah, they still activate like normal. So I really don't have any consistent answer on what makes an item procced and what doesn't. So we covered moves and items, but what about other abilities? Sheer Force, interestingly enough, can stop other Pokemon's abilities from activating. Some abilities that activate when going below half HP will not activate when hit by a Sheer Force boosted move. Gliscopod's Emergency Exit and Wimpod's Wimp Out won't go off, meaning these cowardly bugs will actually be able to stay in for once. The ability Berserk won't activate to give you the +1 to your special attack stat. Also, Cloth's Anger Shell won't activate, meaning the Pseudo Shell Smash will be absent. I tested out some other abilities to see if they had any effect. Abilities like Schooling, Shields Down, both Zen modes, Rattled, and Gulp Missile, but they will all still activate. I'm guessing since most of these activate at the end of the turn rather than during the turn, like the previously mentioned abilities, although there are still some that activate during the turn that I don't really have an explanation for. But we aren't done yet. We also have Kecleon's Color Change. It won't activate when hit by a Sheer Force boosted move, and the ability Pickpocket won't take an item as well. So Weavile won't be stealing your Life Orb unless you hit it with a non-Sheer Force boosted move. There may be other abilities or items that I forgot, but those are the ones that caught my eye and I thought would be interesting to test. With all these weird interactions, I think it's safe to say that Sheer Force may be the most complicated ability when it comes to effects. I also think it's one of my favorite abilities to use in competitive Pokemon, as Darmanitan has been one of my favorite mons to use in Draft League. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Sheer Force Pokemon to use is. Just a short one today and a brief channel update for you guys. I'm currently working on a follow-up for the worst Pokemon with high base stats, so look for that one soon. I also wanted to take a second to thank all you buds so much for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers. This has been such a crazy first year on YouTube, and I appreciate each and every person watching these videos. I'm starting to see a bit of a community building, and I'm welcoming all Pokemon fans to join. If you haven't yet, why don't you become a bud and hit that sub right now, because I have a couple absolute bangers planned for the next couple of months, and you won't want to miss it. Take it easy, buds, and I'll see you soon.
Gotta have them ribs. And pussy too.